Welcome to a commentary on the Yogasutra that is based on your true self and your discovery of that and your growing understanding actually also of what is your true self and your remembrance of yourself is an essential part of our collective consciousness changing. So this is already really great. And the sutra I'm commenting on today is the third sutra of the second chapter. And Patanjali gives the reason for suffering. Like, what is the reason for our agitation? Why is the separate self not happy? What is the fundamental reason? And he gives 5 reasons that are sort of almost like a chain, but the deepest and the most fundamental reason, and this reason isn't just the fundamental reason that is talked about in yoga philosophy, but also in Advaita and in many, many other forms of pathways to liberation or pathways to knowing your true self. Because fundamentally the obstacle, no matter what kind of wording I put to it, or how my cultural background interprets it, it is always the same. You will always come to the same kind of conclusions that happen as you come to know yourself. So the fundamental reason is avidya. It means ignorance, not knowing. Now, nowadays when we hear this word ignorance, it sounds so intense, but it's actually such a good word because it says that you are ignoring. You are actually ignoring what is already here. So it isn't that it isn't the case. Your true self is always already here. It is simply that you are ignoring what you are. There is a veil. And so you're ignoring this fundamental self that you actually are. You're ignoring what you are in truth. And it also shows that this is simply a remembrance then. And you are removing this veil of forgetfulness, this veil of being asleep to what you actually are in truth. Avidya, it means not seeing, not knowing. You are not knowing anymore what you are. You have forgotten. And so you are needing to remember yourself. You are needing to remove this ignorance. So what happens from this ignorance? This ignorance fundamentally then makes you believe that you are a separate entity in a body. It doesn't allow you to actually remember your divinity, remember your vastness, remember your unlimited nature. Remember that life has possibilities for you that you cannot fathom because the limited perception of the separate self of your mind doesn't allow that. And so it also comes, avidya, with a sort of humbling. There must be a humbling sense that hey, I don't remember. I haven't found my divinity. I don't have that wisdom or that knowledge of my true self, what I actually am. It isn't that I am aware of awareness at all times. And that also catapults your search. As with everything, there is an you're admitting your own ignorance. You're admitting I haven't found. You're admitting I want to find. I am seeking. I am searching for this. You are admitting that you want to remove your own veil of forgetfulness. You're admitting that you want to wake up. Now, the other causes of suffering actually are sort of like a chain that comes from this sense of self that is separate, the sense of self that is limited, the sense of self that feels that it is its own stories, its own past most of the time. Like the stories that happened to this focal point seemingly separately within this life. And the kind of victimhood that then often comes, or the kind of ingrained patterns, or the ingrained thought mechanisms. And so the next thing that comes out of this fundamental ignorance is asmita. It means egoism, or it means this selfishness to what happens as there is no understanding of a vaster self is just this this idea I have to protect my personal self in a way continuously, and the egoism that comes out of this, and the exploitation of others, or selfish behaviors that stem from this unconscious behaviors. And then the fundamental thing that he mentions in the sutra is what comes out of this is raga and dvesha. I try to move more towards pleasure, what I like, raga, and I try to avoid what I don't like, dvesha, the fundamental duality of life. I don't have any distance to both positive things or negative things. What happens as you start witnessing, as you start abiding as awareness, is the fundamental distance to both positive and negative things arising in life. But this identification makes you run towards pleasure and run away from anything that causes some form of discomfort to this separate self. And the last thing he mentions as a cause of suffering that also comes fundamentally from that ignorance of your true self is abhinivesha. It is a fear of death, a fear of letting go. And this is because fundamentally you know that something needs to give as you recognize the self. And what needs to give is your identified notion of self and it isn't actually so bad as many people fear. It isn't so. It's not a horror. It is that it is completely seen through for what it is. The clarity is different, and so there's also no fear around that. But it is also these kind of lifetimes, if you want to call it that, that that came and go, and this, and obviously this kind of fear of what are you then when you let go of your identified sense of self? What happens? But again, because it is fundamentally just ignorance, it is you not knowing. So your true self is already here. It's not that you aren't actually already looking from awareness at all times. It is just ignored. It is just ignored for the sense of these kind of experiences until this has exhausted itself, and you are ready to wake up. So this is the sutra that talks about the fundamental cause of suffering in this life. What is it? The deepest cause. And many people are very engaged in healing or finding out who it is suffering about. And so this is the most fundamental reason, is ignorance, not seeing what you actually are, ignoring your true self, ignoring who you are, ignoring your unified nature, ignoring your non-separateness. Thank you so much for being here again. Just allow this to settle, and it already, even listening, reflecting, contemplating on these sutras changes something within collective consciousness. So thank you so much for being here. Namaste.